What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the local meta report here in St. Louis, Missouri. I, of course, am Brad, aka the mayor of Lorcana and co-host of the Rules of Villainy podcast. Each and every week, I bring to you the latest and greatest in Disney Lorcana winning decks here in the area. We are in week 2 of the Set Champ season, along with 4 decks from the set, I guess 3 decks from Set Champs this weekend. I have an Infinity deck from an ROV 100th episode anniversary 1K, a little bit of practice for Indianapolis coming up next week. That'll be at the tail end of the video. And before we get into the Set Championships, I have 2 weekly winning decks as well. So let's get into those 6 decks on the day, and not a lot of time. It is late Sunday night, so I'm going to try to breeze through them, but give you guys some ideas for what's winning here in St. Louis, and maybe win at your locals with them as well, or DLC Indianapolis if you really like dogs, because that seems to be a thing. But I'm going on too long. Let's talk about the decks. All right, speaking of dogs, that is going to be our first deck of the day, coming to you by way of Heather at Fortuna Games, one of 2 3-0s on the night. Though she'll tell you that the deck was 3-0, she was not, because she had a first-round bye and happened to pass her deck off to Villain Vince, who forgot all of his decks at home somehow or another. On his way to Fortuna, realized, oh, I don't have my decks. But, of course, we all bring extra decks with us, and he got to play with Heather's dogs and find success with it. The deck was 3-0 on the night. She was not, is the exact quote from her, but she would have been, I'm sure, if she played all of her games. This is only sociopaths play dogs, probably a play on me giving her a hard time for playing such a mean deck. It is nothing unusual here. Everything we've seen in the past here in core. She is running one of the Emerald Chromacon for a little bit of challenge protection, keeping your board clear so her things can safely quest, but it does all the dogs things, getting all those 1-drops out there, looking for a Willow on 2 to get another 1-drop, just to cheapen the cost of the 7-cost Tramp coming out as early as possible, and hopefully finding that Under the Sea to wipe your board, let alone that current villain of the week, Mickey Mouse, that comes out and just reduces the strength of your board by questing, everybody else questing while he is exerted. She is not running Eleanor, who is quickly becoming the queen villain of the set. We will talk about that more, I'm sure, on this week's episode, but she didn't need Eleanor. She found success with this deck. Congratulations to you, Heather. Let's talk about my deck. That's right. On a random Tuesday night that I can actually make Fortuna, the mayor himself went 3-0 with Dwarfies. If you are familiar with this video series or Podcana, this is Tiago's deck. I have one additional card in here. It is the 5-cost inkable action. Don't be nervous. Out of the several weeks that I've been playing this in Wilds Unknown, this deck, this card has been effective one time. So my 61st card is not needed in this deck, but I've been too lazy to take it out. Otherwise, the entire goal of this deck is to get a princess and a dwarf out on 1 and 2. You can do that with Mulan, Pocahontas, 2 of the Happies, or the Sleepy, who gets you a card on banish as long as another dwarf or princess is in play. But you're not trying to lose those before turn 3, where you are playing right behind you a 3-cost inkable action that says draw a card. If you have a 7 dwarfs character or a princess character in play, you may play a 7 dwarfs character for free. And you're probably asking, Brad, what's so great about playing a dwarf for free? Well, let me tell you, on turn 3, a 5-cost inkable evasive that's 3/6 and quest for 2 is pretty good. But you know what's better? A 7/7 card in Grumpy that is a 2-quester. He doesn't have any abilities or anything. He's just a big body. If you can cheat him out on turn 3 and they're looking at a 7/7 across from them, they got to do some work to get rid of that. So that is the ultimate beginning goal of the deck. Otherwise, you just stabilize into a pretty fundamental deck. You are looking to get Dumbo out for a draw engine. Of course, you're running 4 Strength of a Raging Fire to do some control, Elsa for exert, Demona for exert and draw. But the other big draw combo that is arguably broken is the new legendary Snow White. She's a 3-cost inkable, 2/3 to quest for 1 with 2 abilities. The Clarion Call, whenever this character quests, you may return a chosen 7 dwarves character of yours to your hand to draw a card, which is great in itself. And then Never Forgotten, during an opponent's turn, when this character is banished in a challenge, return this card to your hand. So you have to find another way to get rid of this Snow White besides challenging, or she can just become a repeatable problem. The one combination that is great with her is pairing it with the 2-cost Doc Bold Knight, our favorite dwarf from set 5 all the way until now. He is a 1/3 that quests for 1 that allows you to discard your hand to draw 2 cards. And that means you don't have any cards in your hand. You're not discarding anything. You're just drawing 2 cards. And Snow White bouncing him multiple times is just absolutely insane if they don't stop you from doing that. So very, very fun deck. Recommend it. Shout out to Tiago from Podcana who put this out there. I've had a blast playing this deck and happy to find success with it and have fun with it. So totally recommend it to anybody looking to play it. So anyway, let's move on to the set championship decks of the week. All right, our first of 3 set championship winning decks from this past Saturday comes to you by way of the Collector Store, piloted by Nick from Lorcana Collections. We have Dogs, Fetch, Woody. This is an Amber Emerald Dogs deck. I had a roller coaster of emotions when he submitted this to me because, one, it's dogs, so boo, but also, it says Woody in the title, so I assumed he was running the new Legendary Woody and doing something fun with it, something innovative, something new we haven't seen before. But no, he actually meant, no, these dogs are just going to go fetch a Woody promo card and playmat with first place. And he got it done very efficiently. Dogs gets the job done. We're going to be talking about dogs for another couple weeks, hopefully, and then maybe it'll simmer down a little bit. We'll put them back in the pound. The only thing different here that we see from Heather's deck a little bit earlier is that he is running 4 of the Eleanor that we were talking about, or that I was hinting at before, where she is a new super rare from Wilds Unknown, 4-cost uninkable, 3/4 to quest for 1 with coordinated efforts. At the end of your turn, if you have 3 or more exerted characters in play, deal 1 damage to a chosen opposing character, gain 1 lore, and draw a card. And she comes out, you can cheat her out so easily, so early with a 1-drop Aurora, a 2-drop Willow, and then the Willow brings out another 1-drop when she's played, and then the Aurora activates on her as well because she is a queen. She is a Storyborn mentor and queen, so Aurora makes her cheaper on turn 3 as well. And by that turn, you have 4 characters on board, 3 of them exerted. She is already pinging your board, drawing a card, and gaining a lore. She is a menace, but and she's going to be around for a while. She's a very, very good card. I'm sure she was very effective in Nick's tournaments. I don't have his matchups. I don't have much of anything besides the deck, but this deck got it done, and it's no surprise. We know Dogs is just an absolute menace right now. Congratulations to Nick. A big shout out to Lorcana Collections. Check out their content in a link in the description below. Very wholesome content. I will shout that out every time they are on here because I love it. I love watching him and his daughter, who I got to play today. We might talk about that later, or we'll talk about that on the podcast. Just great content. So congratulations, Nick, on your Woody playmat. All right, our second deck of the day comes to you by way of Michael at Bandits Hideout. Michael from Team Snuggly Duckling, by the way, at Bandits Hideout, getting it done with Blurple, and I believe his second set championship of the day. He was at the Collector Store one, if I recall correctly, as well, and made his way out to Bandits to take the entire tournament down with Blurple. What fascinated me about this is the fact that there's only 5 uninkables in this deck. Nothing out of the ordinary as far as a Blurple list goes, but I didn't realize how low of a count the uninkables are in Blurple nowadays. The fact that this entire deck is almost inkable and as powerful as it is just absolutely fascinating. The 5 uninkables are Sven, the Leaping Reindeer, the Rush Evasive with Challenger, and of course the Hades Infernal Schemer, who is just such a great hard removal card at the 7-cost uninkable slot. You ramp up to that so quickly. 3/6 quest for 2. One thing that I also noticed way before this deck is that Into the Unknown has kind of just faded out of these Blurple decks. I haven't seen that card in quite a while, and they're finding ways to just take it out and throw in other cards like Tigger. Tamatoa's back to cycle in some Junior Woodchuck guidebooks, and then 4 of the 5-cost Hades. Just a very solid deck, very inkable deck. You should never brick with this deck. It just great pilot, great deck. Congratulations to Michael taking it down with Blurple. All right, our final set championship winning deck for this video comes to you by way of Bodax Games, also on Saturday, from the Rules of Villainy competitive team's newest member, Chip. Getting it done with Milo Thatch is expletive. I don't know what he's calling Milo Thatch there. What I do know is this new Milo Thatch getting his hands dirty is a gross card. He's a 7-cost inkable, 5/5 that quests for 3 with Ward. With Ward, and this is a ramp deck that gets to him so quickly. And he not only is he just a 3-quester with Ward, he has 2 abilities as well. Scholar's Gambit. When you play this character, you may choose and discard a card to return chosen character to their player's hand, or to the player's hand, which is great removal, which we saw with Basil in the past. And then Practical Knowledge. At the end of your turn, if 2 or more cards are put into your discard this turn, draw a card. And it is very easy to put more things in the discard. So Milo comes out and allows you to draw as well. And where else are we getting draw? We're getting it from Clarabelle. We're getting it from, I guess, Develops not a draw. That's a put. Vision. There's all kinds of drawing in here. You're welcome. But most of it is coming from Clarabelle. She's looking for, or Chip, the pilot, is looking for the shift line there, ramping as fast as possible with Tipo, Cinderella, Moana, all there. Moana is not a ramp card, but it is allowing you to recycle cards from your inkwell into or from your discard into your inkwell. And then one other card from Wilds Unknown is this Buzz Lightyear, who's kind of a closer. He's a 7-cost, uninkable 7/5 that quests for 2. He's also a shift 5, but you'll see in the deck list, he is not looking to shift. He's just looking to get this out there to return some actions into his hand from the discard, because he has the Take Charge ability. When you play this character, you may return an action card with 7 or less from their discard to your hand, and Advanced Training. Whenever you play an action, chosen character gets +1 more this turn. So all these cheap actions with Develop, Sail, Vision of the Future, even Malicious, Mean, and Scary will get you an extra lore on one of your questers. So the fact that Buzz Lightyear gets cards all the way up to Bend to My Will out of the discard is just absolutely disgusting. I can just imagine Chip laughing maniacally at the fact that he just played Bend to My Will on you, and then he's like, you know what, I'm going to play Buzz Lightyear, get it back, so whenever you get some cards in your hand again, I'm just going to take them. I'm going to tell you, no, you're not playing with those. Worst card in the game, the most mean card in the game. But other than that, very solid deck. Of course, it's got the Prince Philip shift line, Malicious, Mean, and Scary, the Warded Prince, and the Malicious, Mean, and Scary into shifting into the big Vanquisher of Foes that just takes out any damaged character. And then Under the Sea is just, why? Let's throw that in there too. Why not? But apparently that's all you need. This deck gets it done. Congratulations to Chip. I think in a field of 10, both him and Ryan from the team were the top 2, both on a deck very, very similar to this. So congratulations to both of them. Let's talk about one Infinity deck before we wrap this up. And of course, as promised, we have an Infinity deck here in this video from the Rules of Villainy 100th episode celebration, which we are so thankful for Impact Gaming Center to host for us. All kinds of giveaways. We had Nicholas Davis once again from Lorcana Collections taking it down in a field of 14 or 15 with green steel, emerald steel, his bread and butter from back in the day, Ursula's Return, when the Diablos came out and discard became a thing. Nick this is how I met him, and he is not lost a beat. He took down this tournament with this deck, and it is spicy. It is everything that we've known in the past. We talked about this last week. I believe the Collector Store had a Infinity tournament as well, and we talked about this Diablo Stone Servant. He is a Wilds Unknown, super rare, 2-cost inkable 1/3 to quest for 1 that gives Cruel Intent while you have a villain character in play. This character becomes a 3/3 that quests for 2, and Villainous Bond. While this character is exerted, your villain characters cannot be challenged. And as you can tell, there are a lot of villains in here, including the Ursulas, the Prince Johns, the Queen. The Queen is the card of the day. I texted him about the deck list, and he said the Queen's a heck of a card. This new legendary from Wilds Unknown is not a lot of people talking about. In fact, when this card was revealed, a lot of people just kind of rolled their eyes at it. But it is a 4-cost inkable card, 5/3, quest for 1 with Evil Scheme. When you play this character, you may draw a card. If you do, each opponent gains 2 lore. It doesn't sound like a great deal, but Jealous Heart, which while an opponent has more lore than you, this character gets +2 lore. If you want to see this Queen in action, we did stream this event on both our channel and the Impact Gaming Center Twitch channel. I will link it below. I highly encourage you to check it out. The finals match is against another great player in the area, Justin from Team Snuggly Duckling, and it's one for the ages. This deck is something to keep an eye out for. I am very curious to see how it does in Indianapolis next weekend. Some other Wilds Unknown cards in here. We have the Lenny, the promo Lenny here. He's a Toy Binoculars 02. When you play this character, it's like a new Ursula. You chosen opponent reveals their hand, discards an action of your choice. So not just a song, an action. So it's more like a new Mowgli. And then coming up fast, once during your turn, whenever you play an action, you can ready this character. So a little bit of protection there. Max Goof brings back songs from the discard, and that becomes a real big pain, as you can see in a couple of his streamed games. We also saw Has Set My Heart, a 2-cost inkable song to banish chosen item, and that became very very necessary, very what's the word I'm looking for? It worked in his matchups. I think he was playing Jimmy, and he just had this song in hand. It's only a 1-of, and he took out Jimmy's Chromacon. So, yeah, just very, very good deck. Very, very good pilot. Shout out again to Lorcana Collections. And, yeah, that is it. That's going to do it. That's going to wrap up this week's Meta Report. Thank you all for tuning in. Congratulations to the winners, and thank you for submitting your decks to allow me to celebrate your success here, because that's what this is all about. If you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications for any kind of Rules of Villainy content, including these Meta Reports, our live streams, which if you tuned into those the last 2 weeks, thank you so much for doing that. We have Deck Test Tuesdays. We have pack openings. We have the podcast proper dropping every Friday. Speaking of the podcast, we want to see you in DLC Indianapolis. So if you see any of us in our jerseys or recognize us here from the YouTubes, please come up and say hi. It means the world. When you do, we'll have some swag for you, and just genuinely want to hear from you, whether we've met you before or meeting you for the first time. It's going to be a pleasure to see you there. If you are coming to see me and you have a bunch of Jock Attentive Uncle cards, or even a single one, I have a Scotty dog, and I am now on a mission to get as many of those as possible. So I will ask you to sign it and put it in my Mickey binder. Let's see how many of those we can fill up in Indianapolis. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait to see everybody. So, yeah, that's my spiel. Thank you again for tuning in. Good luck in the rest of your set championships. Good luck in Indianapolis, and we will see you there.